Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the August 14th, 2024 meeting of the Litchfield Capital Improvement Committee. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Probably should take my head off, but all right. So I guess we'll go around the room and introduce everybody, starting with Brian. Why don't you?
Sure. I'm Brian Burt, budget rep.
Jay Minkara, NRPC.
Pete Stone, citizen representative.
Peter Plansky, school board rep.
Michael Croto, planning board chair.
Kimberly Queenan, selectman's rep.
Kim Kleiner, town administrator.
Okay, welcome everybody. First off, this evening it's our first public input. Is there any members of the public that have any public input this evening? And don't see anyone from the public other than the three people in the audience, but they're presenting tonight. So I'll close public input at this time. I'll move to the approval of the minutes of the June 17, 2024 meeting. Did anybody have an opportunity to take a look at those, have any questions or concerns regarding those? And if you want to approve them, we can certainly do so.
Well, I have a question on the portal then. I go into the August 2024 and I'm seeing the 29th date.
Yes, so we moved everything to the 2025 capital requests.
Oh, is it there?
tab.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Okay, I
look
didn't look
there,
Gotcha.
and everything that we
Okay.
will be addressing tonight is on there.
Thank you. I was on the wrong one.
Yeah.
Says it's the
We
meeting
did that
minutes,
after we
look like the
canceled the
prior one.
29th meeting,
Okay.
so it's all.
Do we still have to approve the May 4th meeting minutes then?
No,
Oh, we don't, okay.
no, just the,
Did everyone have an opportunity to
I
take a
have
look at them?
not.
Did you want to review them? We can table it, certainly, if you want to have an opportunity to review them.
I don't think we had a lot of people here last time.
no.
I haven't had a chance because I was in the wrong folder. I went into the August 2024 folder.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody
Not
else has
sure.
anything.
I don't think we have an updated sheet because some of these projects were just added. be- I think after our last time, Jay, so you may not have.
Yes.
Quite a few projects.
See, it's good.
Did you want a minute to take a look at them, Kim, or you want to wait?
I have to be honest. I don't know if I'm totally off today. I'm in the capital improvement request folder.
Okay.
Where are the minutes?
It's easier to find on the agenda tab,
Yeah,
and then the agenda
Okay.
minutes.
But that's what I mean. So there wasn't a lot of people here. I don't even know if we have a quorum to really even approve them at this point.
Okay.
For
Wanted
for
to-
that meeting was in June, right?
I
it
don't
was
see
in
it.
June.
I'm sorry. All right, I'm not
see them
prepared
in
because I was
email
in.
either.
You're not seeing it either?
No.
Okay.
All right.
I mean,
so,
we can defer to.
yeah,
next
we can
meeting.
we can certainly table those till the next meeting if
Great.
everyone's comfortable doing that.
Yes,
Yeah,
please.
give an opportunity for everyone to review them.
Oh, wow,
Okay. So we'll move on. So item D is review of the 2025 projects. I guess we'll start off with Ms. Kleiner, Town Administrator. Maybe she can lead us off on this for the town.
Sure. So, when we met in June, what we didn't have, was a request by the Litchfield Police Department and the request from the Litchfield Recreation Commission. Those came in, and those have been added to the portal. We believe at this point in time, this is all of the town's requests. Who you haven't heard from is the library, but those requests are the same as last year. They have said that they will come and present to you if you wish, but they are the same projects that you reviewed last year.
Okay.
Most of the Recreation Commission's requests are new as far as maybe not the replacement of Talent Hall, but we didn't really discuss the replacement of Talent Hall last year as much as we discussed the second option of replacement of the floors. And I think that's what ended up on the SIP plan was the replacement of the floors. But they've added a few requests that were not on last year's. And so we definitely want to look at that and maybe think of scheduling Mr. Burns or Mr. Ames to come in and discuss those with us.
Okay.
There's a couple of playgrounds, there's a concert stage request.
I thought the playgrounds were on there last time, and so are the
I think one
resurface of
was.
the tennis courts.
I
The thing
the
that looks
tennis-
new here is, the stage that I don't recall. Maybe I'm
Yeah.
forgetting.
But certainly, I think they can speak to those best. So
Yeah.
if you'd like to have them rescheduled,
At the
we
next
can.
meeting, maybe, and,
One of the things, and it's good that the Kevin Brown, the road agent, is here because there's not a specific request for this, but in full transparency, I have discussed with the select board and I fully intend to ask the select board for an expendable trust fund to be created for stormwater. So our stormwater costs, and if you have watched the planning board for the last 9 months, there's been a significant amount of work on this. We've always tried to fit those stormwater costs within the road agent's budget. That is not going to be possible. Some of the things that we could do in-house now are moving to different vendors. The cost of the consultant is increasing. The number of tasks that we are being required to complete by the EPA and by the permit
Yeah.
has increased substantially. So, some of our neighbors did this last town meeting. I think Londonderry put in 250. I don't think we need to ask for anything like that, but probably 75,000 to put it into an expendable trust, so that we can have that money for some of these costs.
Okay.
So, and certainly, Mr. Brown knows the costs better than anyone.
okay.
So, I just wanted that out there,
Sure.
since there isn't a request for a capital item on it.
All right. So we do have with us this evening folks from the police department. Chief Jones, is it? We haven't officially met. My name is Michael Croto. I'm the chair of the Litchfield Planning Board. Welcome aboard. I hope things have been good here in Litchfield, and that's great. And we have Kevin Brown, our road agent. Welcome. And I think maybe what we can do, we do have two worksheets regarding the roads and for the new police facility. So maybe what I'll do is I'll have Chief Jones, and I'm sorry, you're Dennis Tessier. Is it Sergeant or Captain? Captain Tessier. Welcome. To come forward, you can come to the table, guys, and sit down, and maybe you can give us a little insight on what it is that you're proposing. Thank you.
So, good evening. I don't want to repeat everything that's in here, but this building was built, probably most of you know all of this much better than I do, but the building we're in now was built in '97. And the first time it was put in writing that the police department building was inadequate for our needs was 2 years later. And it's been talked about nonstop ever since. And the first time it was put in the capital improvement plan was in 2009. So obviously there's been a need, and the department has, in that time doubled.
Yep.
And again, I don't want to go word for word through here, but we have some serious issues with access points, with our holding facilities. We have our fingerprint machine in one of the cells, so we're down a cell. Our Sally port, which is what we use to a secure garage, basically, to bring prisoners in and out, isn't really that secure, and because of the size of it, it's almost impossible with all the stuff we have in there to get a car in and effectively and safely get somebody out and get them into the cell. So we're having to walk them in from outside, which is not ideal, especially with as few officers we have at any given time. A lot of times there's only one officer to deal with that, so it just puts them in a bad position. We only have one interview room, way too small. We have no room to interview like child victims or anything like that. More of a comfortable room. Usually most police departments will have a room that's a little more, not much bigger than a regular interview room, but maybe have furniture in it and be regular comfortable furniture so people can feel relaxed, and not necessarily just for children, but victims, so they're not in a hard cold, which is what you need for regular police interrogations. We have no record storage room. Our evidence is not in truly an evidence room. It's basically an add-on to the building that is somewhat climate controlled, but not really. It wasn't part of the original building. It was just open air that was enclosed because it was under roof.
When I came to the police department, the Sally port was the Sally port and the cells were the only existing structure, and the roof overhang about 6 feet on each side, and each side was boxed in, and one side became the evidence storage, the other side became an additional officer storage.
Gun storage is inadequate, and none of this stuff is ventilated properly. We would never be able to get accredited in the building the way it sits now, and to be honest, there'd be no way to retrofit. And the way the state is going is they're going to mandate accreditation at some point in the near future. So that's going to become a problem sooner rather than later. Our break room, the table where we eat, is used for everything else because it's really the only big table we have. So people clean their firearms there and polish boots, and again, just not ideal. Our prosecutor's office also holds our records, so the prosecutor can't secure the office because everybody needs access to it, because we need access to the files. Our personnel files are in a closet, and the closet is our only storage space really in the entire, outside of the Sally port, the only storage facility in the building.
Overcrowded locker room.
Oh yeah, we're out of lockers in the male locker room. So we either have to share or only hire females from this point, which I'm not opposed to, just limits our hiring ability.
Does anybody have any questions for the chief or the captain?
So last fall, Mr. French gave a walkthrough of the police department. I know there were a few members that were there, but certainly, we could ask Chief Jones if anyone was interested in going and viewing the current situation.
Anytime.
Okay. Yeah, I know that there was a request made, but it was back during COVID, and I think there was a bit of a hesitancy to do that. But certainly, if you're willing to make that available for, so that we can take a look.
Absolutely.
I believe that walkthrough had been done a couple of times before as well.
Before.
Oh
Before
yeah,
last
years
fall.
ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before last fall,
Decades
yes.
ago, or a decade ago.
Right.
Yes, I think last fall we visited the transfer station, the highway department, the police department. I think that's it.
Okay.
So then moving on to the new building, I think, again, everybody here knows, but just for the record, there is a site, so it would be built attached to the fire department. Basically, the fire department now faces Albuquerque, and then if you just come back in this direction from the building, there's that big grassy area. That is where the police barn go. We actually would connect to that building. And then actually, I didn't mention before, but the dispatch center is, again, not really adequate for what we need, and that would be addressed in the new building. So the new building would be about 10,500 square feet on that site. And, you know, I have prices for everything. The total would be $5,564,850. And that should be everything. I mean, from, you know, the furnishings we need to the site work to the building itself, the dispatch modules, you know, the interview rooms, you know, all the wiring and door locks and all of those things.
And as you guys can read in there, you can see that in 2019, Kessel Booth recommended a 12,600 square foot building.
Right.
This, which we kind of tried to scale it down as much as we could.
Okay.
So when was the last time this was on the ballot? Has it ever made it to the ballot?
No. At least not in the last 4
Not that
years.
I'm aware, no.
We discussed it.
I don't think
got
the
pro-
architecture
it
drawings made it, did they?
got bumped on the priority list.
Did the architecture
No,
drawings
it
make it?
did make it, though, to a preliminary conversation.
Yeah, I think we
I
had a
believe it
placeholder
was
for it.
to
It
the
just never went to
selectmen-
warrant.
To the select board,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that 5.6 is pretty much all in? Yeah, the additional equipment, the gym equipment, all that stuff is?
Everything, right. That's everything that's listed on there.
And
That
that's,
should be.
you did that update recently?
Yes, I just did that in
I'm
the
trying to
past.
recall the previous estimate. Can't remember.
Believe it was 4 million for the building.
Yes,
I
and
think it was low fours.
Yeah, it's like 4.6, and then
Yes.
plus some stuff you didn't have pricing on.
Yeah. So the pricing, knock on wood, despite what, everything that's going on, that has not gone up tremendously, and there is a contingency built in there as well. So the builder feels like, you know, again, if it's in the near future, that should be a very realistic number.
And this is gonna be connected to the fire station, is that my understanding? So it's almost like a
That
safety.
grassy
Community
knoll
safety.
that's
The
kind
site
of
work has
perpendicular
been-
to the
Yeah,
right side of the building.
when they
from
put
right
the
here.
fire station in, there was some pre-planning in the event that this ever came down for some site work that had already been taken care of.
Because it was phase 2, right?
Right. So I'm just curious, like, you're reducing it by what was recommended by a couple thousand square feet. How long before you run out of space again?
So,
Because you-
yeah, so I wasn't here when that reduction was made, but to be honest with you, like, I don't have a problem with it. Even if the town were to say, you know, grow another 30% over the next 20 years, there's enough space in there for growth. Because even if you add, let's say you add 2 officers to the department, 24 hours, you know, that's, or 10 officers to the department, which I would imagine that's gonna be a long time from now. To add another 10, that's another
Say that, but it seems
50%.
like we've added 10 and it hasn't been that long.
Right, but, yeah, but that's just to get, you know what I mean, like, you need 5 just for 24-hour coverage for 1 spot.
Yep.
So, if we added another 10 people, that's only another 2 people per shift. And just the way that works, it really wouldn't have that bad of an impact on it. I don't foresee needing a building for quite some time. if
So
we're
I
able
don't-
to get that.
I think some of this, I'm not positive because I wasn't part of it, but I remember looking at some of the other plans. And I think some of the reduction was also, the police department at the time was looking for a community/training room. And I
right.
think it was determined that we can share with the fire department's community room, reduce the size of the building somewhat with that as well.
So I know the thought process was there when they built the fire department, that eventually the police department would be adjoining. I don't recall, that, was there a conversation as far as we'd be sharing a kitchen also?
So, yes,
Are
we
there other
wouldn't
areas
have, we
within your
wouldn't have a
building?
kitchen, we would have our separate, like,
Break
break
room.
room area, but if we wanted to utilize the kitchen, it would be on their side. There is a path through
Right.
that
That's what I
would
thought, a
connect
hallway.
the
Yep.
dispatch and.
Were there other areas within the fire department that you'd be utilizing also?
The
Just the
conference
training
training
room.
room.
That's it.
Yep.
And how many offices are there today?
In total, there are 14 spots, and then some dispatchers and
14 full-time,
part-time.
3 part-time, and 2 dispatchers.
And it looks like from the rendering, you're gonna require 2 bays? Is that what you're looking at?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they back to back? They look like they're big, like you could fit 4 in there.
Well, yeah, it's 2 separate, but yeah, we'd get 4 cars in there, which is great during the storm, because we can then keep cars out of the snow. And also, we have a place then to store, if we impound a car, because right now, we don't have any place to securely store a car. If we impound a car for evidence, say, we either have to trust that a tow company's gonna have it, or we have to figure something out.
The majority of the time, if the car is small enough, it's stored in our Sally port until a warrant is requested and that Sally port is no longer usable for us. So that has to be secured evidence. So it becomes unusable for any other purpose until that car is out.
So you have your gun safe area separate. I'm looking at your drawing of the internal. And I downloaded it so you can blow it up. It looks pretty good. So how do you get I see the cells. How do you get the prisoners in through the Sally Port area? In?
Do you mind if I come up
There's
there?
a door.
I see a door on the outside, but I didn't know,
Can you
I
make it
thought it
big
was
enough
up
to
there.
read?
So right here.
that?
What
Can
am I?
make it big enough to read what it
You just have to download it, then you
Can't
can
read
look at
it,
it.
but there's definitely a
this
door
would
here.
be-
from the
They come in this
side.
way? Yep.
That's
And
kind
then
of
they
what I thought
enter.
this
This
Right
is
in
a
here.
This right
preliminary
here is
holding
a
cell.
immediate holding cell.
So it goes into
So
the
they
hallway to
will
where
be
the cells
taken out of
actually
a
are.
car and placed in there. The officer can come through this and go here, either take the prisoner out and do booking if it's comfortable,
What are
or
you looking
leave him
for,
there and book through the window
Oh, okay.
if they are unruly.
Nice. You don't run into that. But I like that you have your gut. This is nice, the cleaning room, everything.
Yes, so at the,
Oh, it was coiled up over there.
so at the current
Oh,
John?
facility that we have now, the armory space is
Do you see it?
the average size of
Plug
a
it in, you want to.
master bedroom closet, but that is also doubling as temporary evidence storage. There's an evidence refrigerator in there, because the officers can't access the evidence room for security reasons. So they have to input it into a temporary area, which is our gun armory. So currently our armory is unsecured.
Did you download that?
It's yours just to zoom in.
I don't know if this helps
There
or
you go.
not.
I'm just looking at
There you
the,
go.
It's still small, but
So currently, the armory is unsecured. That is where the weapons are stored, the ammo is stored, the firearms are stored. They're maintained, they're cleaned in conjunction with some storage that is also in that room because we don't have storage in conjunction with temporary evidence.
And I know it's real early, but people will ask, because they seem to ask all the time with old buildings, what's the plan to do with this building?
We would just sell it on the open market.
no.
They might find something.
Client might have
Plenty
a
of
use for it.
needs. So, on the town side, we don't have ample storage either. So planning files, zoning files, everything that is required by law to be retained, is not being kept. Most of it's either put in banker's boxes and sent down to the LCTV, which is not climate controlled, and it is secure.
Well, that was gonna be my next question, is will we then be taking the items that are stored in the old fire department, bring those back here?
Yes, that is,
Just destroy the fire department at that point.
yes. So there is a significant amount of time that we spend going back because there's files and things that we need to
Not all come
get,
up here.
that they should come back here. planning, the zoning function, that has expanded a lot. And so we need areas where we can speak with people that come in to fill out applications. We don't really have that. So there's more than enough need on the town side to occupy this. We'd like to have a room for LCTV because they spend so much time in this building, where they can store things that they need to store here, so they're readily available without having to.
So what's the square footage of the existing police station?
Just over
It says
2,000.
2,900 square feet, but that includes
It's under
half the
3,000.
lobby, from what I understand.
Yes.
So it's really small.
So the other, you'll see the dispatch center is a lot bigger than what we currently have, which includes a tech room for all of the technology. And there was talk about having that dispatch at one point double with the fire department and having us dispatch for our town instead of utilizing Hudson Fire.
So when we entered into contract negotiations with Hudson just this last year, we put that out there. And so we only entered into a 2-year contract, and then it's year to year, just for that reason, because we said if it became available that Litchfield could take this on, and that it provided cost savings for us, we would eventually do so. So Hudson's aware, and they've worked with us very well.
What are the items to the left on that picture?
So the entry lobby,
Oh,
and then there is, right now, we currently do not have an area that is unsecured for people to come in
Right.
and meet. So if someone would just like to come in and speak with an officer but doesn't need to be secured, there's a facility there. Oh, that's the
That's
fire.
the fire department.
Gotcha,
Yeah,
okay, sorry, I
that's the
thought,
fire.
I thought you were
I'm
talking about
visioning
the
going
middle.
this way, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, got it. Okay, so that makes sense, I already read the other part, okay, thanks.
So
Nice dispatch office.
people would enter the building.
If you go that way,
Yeah.
and then
Right where dispatch is.
right in front of the dispatch,
If you go
now pull it
to
down.
the top of the page, there's a lobby there and a front door.
So they would enter.
See the double doors?
Double doors is the
Double
front
doors.
door.
Here, okay, right here.
Better with the picture.
Yep.
So your front door is actually a front door, not a side door like the fire department.
Well, I would definitely at some point like to take a tour of the police station. I'm happy to say I've never been inside.
Just Saturday nights.
Not since like 2000, so,
Fair enough.
at some point, for sure.
I think everybody at a minimum has my email. If not, I'm sure you can find my cell number. I'm happy to provide that, and you can come by whenever it's convenient.
Well, if you, certainly we can, you know, if you want to set a date to do that, we can do that as well.
Okay.
If the chief is amenable to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just, a question may or may not be related.
Yeah.
When we hired you, you had certain licensing you wanted to bring the town up to. What was some of that licensing? Was it more staff, or was it with the building and
Accreditation.
compliance or everything?
Are you talking about accreditation?
Yeah,
Is
what
that, so right now, New Hampshire doesn't have its own accrediting body, or actually it does, but it's not operational yet. The other one is, that we would be able to utilize would be CALIA, which is the national one, which is very expensive, and there's so many standards. A town like this, it would be cost prohibitive. There's just no way we'd get to it. My goal in the short term was to get in compliance with as many standards as possible. And then when New Hampshire actually comes around, in fact, I've already contacted them at some point, they're going to come out and do a site visit and look at our policies to see what we have to do to get it within compliance. But I would say, again, I don't know if we would even make it with the building the way it
That's
sits
what I'm asking.
now.
Some of those compliance,
Right, yeah,
you
right,
know,
so that would be an
goals
issue,
you
the way
have.
the building sits now, there's no way, but I could still get in compliance as much as possible, we wouldn't get the little sticker that says you're accredited, which obviously, I mean, it helps with insurance and things like that for the town, which is obviously good. It also helps with lawsuits, because if an attorney sees you're accredited, they know that your policies are such that they're hard to, or they're easy for us to defend in court.
Right.
Because we can say we're accredited, we use best practices and those things. So, yeah, that is the goal. And, you know, if I can get 90% there with that building, then that is what it is. But obviously, if we were to get the building, hopefully by the time the state is ready to start moving forward, we'll be ready to start moving forward.
that was my question. I know you had some goals, but I didn't know if it overlapped with the physical building. We had to have that ready. Sounds like we should have that outlook. It's probably coming. Okay, thank you.
Well, certainly, I think, personally, I think it's long overdue. I mean, this issue has been sort of ongoing for a while, in terms of the police department and the issue of space and storage and so forth, and evidence and collection and all that. So I think that, it's probably, this is probably the time to really be thinking, going forward, especially with the growth of the town and all the changes and development and so forth. So I think that's something we have to look at. I think that's important.
Certainly, I don't wanna,
Here.
negate the library's needs or
Oh, no, no.
Recreation Commission's needs.
No, show me.
But from a town
read
perspective,
it.
I think there's two projects that are crucial. The police department
Mhm.
and the paving at the highway and the transfer station. And I say the second because that is a safety risk to your residents, not to mention the wear and tear on our vehicles. So you're gonna pay at one end or the other. But those are two needs that really need to be looked at in the very short time.
Tim, can we get an updated cost for it? I mean, what I see in here, and I don't know if there's something else that goes with it, is like 4.6, but you said it was a little over 5, right?
I think that's
It's-
in there
it's-
too,
it's
Brian.
on
It's in there
there.
too. I think.
Yeah,
That's it?
The 5.6 is listed in there in a breakout. These are high-level breakout.
yeah.
This page, you gotta scroll for it. It's like in the first block and it's on the second
Right
page,
above
bottom of the second
the
page.
nice picture of the outside.
So if you go under, it's Litchfield Police Department request for 25. Top left, you just gotta scroll down to page 2, the bottom of page 2.
So right here. Got the 556.
Because the rest of it's all plot.
On the right sheet.
It's the worksheet?
Yeah, down below on page 2 of the worksheet.
She's here.
Chief, were these estimates
Mike.
from Ekman?
Didn't John Brennan talk about some
Which
kind of
ones?
Your new,
computer server room or something?
the new
Maybe it was in the
project
fire department and it was
and
gonna be shared back
was
to the
that
police
done
department the
by
last time we went
Ekman?
through.
Yeah, oh, yeah. For the building itself.
I thought there was some shared
Yeah, so when
amenities of
Mr. French
something.
and I think the committee had asked us to look at this last year, and we went out and looked at it, and I was not familiar with Castle Boo. And,
The architect.
so, we certainly looked at those renderings and, the police department, marked them up somewhat. We are familiar with Ekman, and they do excellent work. Their costs are generally, right on. There's always market swings, in any construction project, but, we met with Ekman last fall, and they had started this and then we kind of shelved it until Chief Jones came and he picked it up and did the work. But Ekman, has certainly worked on the fire station, and did an excellent job there, so it is someone we're familiar with.
Because I think Pete brought up, I seem to recall, John Brunel had mentioned something about fire and police sharing technology.
Some kind of,
Something like
Fiber?
that, yeah.
common shared room for some of the.
Right, so
Was
he was,
dispatch or-
that is right behind dispatch.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
there's
That's
also
the
another
right.
room in the hall
This way.
that's between the two buildings.
Okay.
So there's a second site there, which also can help here.
Been a bit, I just couldn't remember.
Yeah. That's a good point. Okay. All right.
We can begin there.
Anybody have anything else this evening? Jay, any comments?
No.
Okay. Marion, I know you sort of came in on the back end of
Yes,
this
I did,
discussion.
I did, but
Do you
I'm
have any
fi-
questions?
Well, no, I'm answering my own questions here, looking at the presentation. Did you go over the fitness room?
Did not go over the fitness room, but yeah, there is a fitness room.
Is that part of the,
Yeah, everything's
accreditation?
included. That's, yep, absolutely.
but I mean, you need the fitness room? I see
So the
$12,000
fitness room-
worth of fitness equipment.
So the officers since 2001 are mandated to pass a 3-year physical fitness test every 3 years. So this will help us accomplish that goal without added costs of gym memberships or in getting our officers hurt trying to train in places that aren't adequate.
I'm thinking about that.
And for me personally, a lot of it is camaraderie building. If we all work out together, it's just a great team building. It's a good, rather than some groups will get together and go and have a drink. Well, that's great, but this is a way for us to work out, get healthier, but also bond at the same time.
And it's pretty common, right? The-
Yes, it's
Most
common.
police departments
Yes.
have a workout facility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is the first department I've ever worked for that didn't have a gym.
Try to get.
Yeah, we
Ran out of closets.
We were gonna use this room, but no one liked that idea.
Could run around this table.
Yeah.
I do have a question.
Especially during the
Just to
selection
get me
meeting.
back to speed with this, were we gonna go to the, a warrant article to, I thought it was really just to get new drawings, right?
So
is that what's gonna happen?
That's what happened last year when Mr. French and I were here.
Yeah.
We asked to use 30,000. We didn't have to go to warrant.
Okay,
We used it from end of year funds, and so, that's what the chief had to work
Okay.
with to prepare,
Okay.
these plans for you. That was last year.
'Cause it was-
So, I mean, obviously, this would be a bonded project. We have not gone as far, and Chief and I will probably have to get together and, approach bond council and at least get some of the initial, footwork done if we think that this is going in the direction of a warrant article, if it's recommended by the committee. And we're looking at short term for, town meeting this year, we'll have to get together and get some of that information.
I think I was remembering the old SIP that had two different line items, one to get the new drawings, and then one for the building, so that was
Yes,
done
you
end
are
of year.
correct.
Okay, that's what I was trying to remember. So thank you for
Assuming a
reminding
10-year
me that we
Are you assuming a 10-year bond?
found the money. 10-year bond?
That's a question.
And I don't know if you folks have the answer, but have you ever researched, is there any grant money out there that might help with the project? Anything like that regarding law enforcement, or just curious?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mm-hmm,
And then we've talked about it a little bit.
We did.
yeah.
No, there's an awful lot of infrastructure money out there, but, You know, a lot of it is tied up with energy efficiency and things of that sort. I haven't seen any.
Yeah, I never either.
That's actually a good question. Have you considered, in terms of the energy efficiency thing, you know, like using solar panels or things of that nature when building this facility, in terms of saving money?
Yeah, I don't know. I can check with Chief Nickel on that and see, because I would imagine, it's supposed to be, obviously it's gonna connect, it's gonna be the same builder, so it's gonna be a very similar design. I don't know what they've done, but that's certainly something I can find out.
Something to look
I don't
into.
think they have any of that, right?
Yeah, we have it, so we have the Energy Committee,
Yeah.
that, you know, has been working on the community power. And, we did address and look into switching everything within this building, over to LED. We believe, and I'm gonna jinx myself, that because it's been a pretty good year, and we have some extra money in equipment repairs for this building, that we may be able to approach that out of a budget, and get these lights switched over. We didn't look at this for solar. We could. It'd be interesting. I don't think it's really the right structure. I'd be surprised. We did look at recently, and you can see it on the minutes from 2 meetings ago, had a solar proposal where the town could get savings for a solar farm that's being built in New Hampshire. So it's a different type of,
But that's a supply thing.
that's a supply thing, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I seem to recall years ago, maybe, I don't know if Jay remembers, I think it was the town of Hollis had some sort of a committee for energy, and I think they did something with their police department to,
All their buildings.
on all their buildings.
All of
Pretty
their-
much all their
and
buildings,
school, I
all their
believe.
schools, yeah.
And their buses, everything.
So.
But it took years to get there, you know. It was
Yeah,
an
right, it
overnight-
was sort of a long process, but they certainly, I guess,
They're a model that we
Yeah.
probably should
yeah.
look at.
Just to
can
start
reach
it
out-
ground
we can
up,
reach
it
out
makes
to the
sense to
TA.
look at it.
Anybody have anything else?
Not for me.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you, gentlemen, both of you, for coming in and providing us with the information tonight.
Wait, we got another,
Oh, you have a question?
Technology question.
we have a.
Oh, we have a that's right, Mr. Brunel.
Question, man.
I'm sorry about technology. Maybe you can clarify,
It's because I said his name and he just
Steve
shows up.
Pierce, yes, well,
It's like
He's like Spider-Man. I didn't hear my name.
I didn't want to leave you hanging if you had any direct questions, because I did want to answer them. One question I heard was fire department infrastructure being used for police department. That still goes on today. That's already happening today. In the police department, there is a what they call a comm room. That's where most of the communications gear is, specific to dispatch and other resources within that building. We will still be extending what we call common services across the town complex. We haven't spread ones in the side of the building, ones in over the fire department. That'll remain the same. There is, in the budget, there is an extension going from that comm room, or what I call the IDF, in the fire department, into the police department to
Yeah,
extend
that's
as
what
part
it
of that
was.
loop. But that's in their budget there. All the other services that are going in that building are a direct support of the police department, very similar to what went into the fire department, when we built the fire department. Right, so, hopefully that addresses it, and
Yeah, no, that's good. I was trying to recall the conversation from 2 years ago.
but I was listening to you in a delay, so I wasn't here quick enough, sorry.
Should have been here
well, we
sooner, John.
appreciate the,
That's it, I'll take care, guys.
all right, thanks, Ron.
Thanks, John.
As soon as you leave, I'm gonna say your name again, so you have to come back.
Beetlejuice.
There you go.
Right.
Give him 5 minutes.
We say Beetlejuice.
But
He
yes,
shows up.
thank you
He's back
for
already.
your input. Whoops.
Heard your name.
You back? Nice. I want to thank you, Chief, for providing us with the information tonight. So obviously, our role here as the Capital Improvement Committee is really to make, we're an advisory committee, so we're making recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. And so it's really the Board of Selectmen that's going to have the final decision whether to, make approval for going forward with warrant articles and so forth. And but we will certainly look at what you presented this evening, and I think it's it is a critical need. I think as the town administrator has mentioned, safety is a priority, and certainly for the town of Litchfield, and I think that's critical. And I think this is something that needs to be addressed. So, thank you both for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And I think if the committee is willing, maybe we can decide if we want to have a site visit at some point. And we'll certainly get in touch with you and let you know. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Next meeting? After our next meeting or something? Might be late.
When, if we got,
It's hard.
so I think Chief Jones would say, whenever, because he's very accommodating. But if you
There?
can, before,
Yeah.
so that they
Wow.
aren't here 24/7.
I don't know.
What are you
how
trying to
people
say? We're
work.
supposed
Trying
to
to
be
be
accommodating?
cognizant of our employees that
Yeah.
have to live here.
All right.
So what time do you want to be here? Like 10 PM?
Sure,
I was saying
midnight.
after the
One,
next committee, but maybe before the next committee is probably a
Make-
better.
why not-
Saturday
why not
night.
Right at the beginning of the next committee, right at 6:30.
But I have to work schedule.
thinking about
Oh, maybe make it, you wanted it before.
I was saying, if you could do it before, I mean,
Be that same
most
day?
of the captain and the chief aren't
That's like,
leaving
how long is it gonna
before
take?
6 o'clock at night.
6 o'clock? I don't know if people's schedules can.
If people did it,
I can do before 6,
if we did a 5:30,
But I'm not sure.
Yeah, I just need
everyone
like
else
a
is-
week in advance so I can block my calendar so I don't get booked.
and I think that's one of the questions up in the air is that needed to be addressed was our next meeting.
We could figure that out after we talk to Kevin.
That's we can.
Because he said, I'm working late too, I want to get out of here.
So I guess we'll have you, Kevin. You're up next. If you want to address the issues regarding roads, and we'll come back. We'll circle back to that discussion certainly.
You want me to
So-
start? Oh, no.
Sarcastic way.
The floor is yours, sir. If you want to talk.
Everybody, Kevin Brown, road agent. I think we want to talk about recycling. We talk about Recycling Way first. Recycling Way, the recycling department and the highway departments needs paving in a bad way. I think all of you have driven down to the dump, know what it's like coming in that road. During wet weather, that road floods out and needs 2 more catch basins put in. I did get a quote last year from Continental Paving to mill it, install the catch basins and pave the backyard, the front recycling and the road. We would also like to, do a little loop on the grass area so people who come down, say Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts and such, can get off of the main road and have some place to stop where cars can pull in. So that was part of the plan. I believe, I didn't bring your paperwork, but I believe it was 280 some odd thousand last year. That was at $82 a ton. Paving, it's up to $106 a ton this year. And, who knows with the election in November, whether they'll either go up, down, or who knows. So I would figure right around a 25% increase. I have not had them rebid it yet, just because I didn't know last year, it kind of fell through and didn't make it to warrant. I wanted to kind of see where we stood, but it would be solid 25% increase from last year's quote. It's definitely something that's needed. You don't need to make a reservation with me. You can come down anytime, even at midnight, and drive through the parking lots. You can come around back to the highway department and take a look at the asphalt. The highway department isn't just us. It's all the recycling guys come through. All the trucks for the recycling come through because the gates are closed. They come around through our area. The police and fire both have fuel tanks down there. Every town vehicle fuels out of there. We do store equipment for other departments down there, so it needs to be in better shape. Years and years of plowing and salt and heavy equipment and heavy trucks running over it has really degraded it immensely. So feel free to drive through, come in, say hi, if we're there. But you feel free to drive through and take a look. I think, like I said, everybody's been down to the dump and they know what that road looks like. We have a catch basin on the right-hand side before you go into our area that is starting to collapse and needs to be repaired. And we've kind of been holding, it's not unsafe, but we're kind of holding off on repairing that until we can look at the whole structure of the road. And that's about it.
So you're saying 25% over the 287?
Yes.
So 359, 720.
I would say that'd be a safe number just because the increase from asphalt. I don't think the milling and the grading would go up, substantially, but the asphalt price went from $82 a ton to $106 a ton.
Is that, Kevin, is that the, trying to see where that is on this, I see $86 a ton for something.
That would be the asphalt price.
That's
Yes.
Oh.
right.
Okay, so it was a little bit, so it's,
Yeah. So it went up a good $30 a ton.
okay, got you.
Excuse me, $20 a ton, I bet.
Okay, I was just looking for the 82 on there, and I just saw 86
I
was the
apologize,
closest.
Mike.
No, that's okay. I just want to make sure I was looking at the right line.
And we did go out for an RFP this year. Unfortunately, we only received one bid, so that's our one bid, but we made a significant attempt to go out for an RFP just to check the pricing. Afterwards, we looked at pricing that other towns and the state were receiving, and we still got a good deal at the one.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard. Other paving companies don't want to really bid Litchfield because Continental's here.
Yeah.
Just like Hudson doesn't get bid out because Brock's is there, and you have to buy the product from them to do the work. So they usually come at a better price. And they've been fantastic to us. They were shimming Chasebrook, Jeff and Larry Court today. That's part of the project, and they're fantastic to us. I can't say enough about them. But that's where we got the quote. I'm more than happy to go out and try and get other quotes from other contractors.
It's like I said, they buy from them.
Right, all comes from the same place.
So Kevin, this less the increase, obviously, it's for both the recycling way and your area also.
That's recycling way coming in.
Yep.
That would be addition of two catch basins plus the piping to connect into the system there. That would be Dave's recycling parking lot, the road going down and around back to my area, and then my area.
And the loop,
Additional area you're talking
and
about.
the loop
Plus
for
the
the
loop
Girl
and-
Scouts? That
And
part,
for the Girl
that's
Scouts.
part of that.
Yeah. I think that's important, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I agree.
people do line up there, you know what I mean? And in a few weeks, before the elections, we're gonna have 20, 30 people standing on the side of the road. They got to park their vehicle someplace. And I think if we can make a nice little turnoff, people can stop and buy cookies or do whatever they wanna do.
Cookies.
And it isn't a substantial,
Addition, right.
it isn't anything substantial.
I can see another gazebo in the future.
Listen, it can be tough and stand out in the rain to get those bows, right? We've done it.
The pickle people don't, I expect the Girl Scouts can do it.
Pickle people.
But as you said, we've all seen it. We've all experienced the
Yep.
joy of that parking, of that, driving around that
Do it now.
recycling center. So, yeah, I think
Now,
we don't need a
and
tour of that. We've seen it.
To take into consideration, our paving money all comes from a state block grant. This town taxes raise $10,000 towards my budget for paving. That's it. $200,000 comes from state block grant. So I either don't pave roads and I pave this, or I pave roads and hope that they'll vote to pave this. So that's kind of where we're standing. You know what I mean? There is no extra money coming in. There's no extra money left over. We pave as much as we can with what we got.
So we did get the fiscal 25, which will be what we receive for the second half of this year and the first half of next year. And it is the same, it's, went from 203 to like 205.
So, I mean, in all honesty, this year we're paving one large road, Chase Brook, two small cul-de-sacs, and we're repairing a patch on Pilgrim and on Cutler. And that's where we're at. I mean, now I think our roads are in pretty good shape. If you could drive around and take a look, I make sure, I do put a yearly, a 6-year plan for CIP for paving, and it does change. And if you look at a paving plan, it goes out, I actually put in $400,000 worth, hoping to get a federal grant or something come in. If it does, we're prepared for that. So everything kind of gets mashed back, and then sometimes roads, over a year's time, get beat up and I have to change, and that happens. I get calls on a continuous basis, how come my road's not getting done? How come my road's not getting done? And, we try and service the larger roads first and then the smaller roads next, and kind of work our way down, but,
So I kind of kid around, as far as the gazebo, but couldn't the highway department do the exact same thing that they did down at the pickle courts? Use impact fees to build one near the roundabout where you're talking about?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's about 50.
I have
in
about 50,000 in impact
highway
fees right now,
and-
but
yeah.
yeah, that's for expansion.
Yeah, we absolutely could.
I mean, if you're gonna build a road for them, you must have built a little bit of a shelter for them also.
Now you're asking for everything.
And a bathroom and a kitchen.
The thing is, by building a shelter, by putting something like that out there, you take them out of, when they go inside the building.
Oh, without a doubt. No,
No,
and I agree 100%. That's something the community needs. I drive, I'm in and out of that road every 7 days a week.
But
I
I've seen them
come
set up
and go.
tables like inside the room, and it's just a matter of time before someone might get hurt in
Yeah.
there too, so.
Right. And, just being out there on the side of the road, cars coming and going, I mean, it can get dangerous. People do not adhere to the speed limit even on that road. Try pulling a truck with a trailer out on that angle with people coming. It's a little hairy, but, I like the idea of the loop. I like the idea of but even a gazebo, we'll take suggestions. Do we make it like a barn? Do we make it like a, rustic and country? You can even name it if you want. We'll sell naming rights.
And one of the conversations that we're discussing, and we haven't really come to a final conclusion yet, is what do we use the animal shelter, right? So right now, that building's not costing anyone. The utilities are pretty much shut off, except for what's needed to not burst any pipes or things of that sort, but there's really no draw. But the police department did a wonderful job of stepping up and really assuming that animal control. We just don't keep animals here. Generally, an animal's picked up or it's brought to the department.
What's
and
up, kids?
thanks to
Yeah.
Facebook,
Right, yeah, somebody picks it up. Yeah.
someone's here within an hour or so. So, I mean, thankfully, we haven't had much of a need. So we're trying to look at that building and what makes sense. You do have to have something should the need arise, but there are animal shelters that are close by in neighboring towns that we could always bring an animal to. Humane Society. So there's that building as well. The other thing we want to keep just in the back of our minds, because unfortunately the road agent felt it not too long ago, was what happens when a piece of our infrastructure fails, right? So making sure that we have money available should a piece of infrastructure fail, like what we had, if you didn't know, down on Pilgrim, right? Those can, when a culvert or that's expensive. You're talking expensive work, upward.
75,000 for that one.
Yeah.
And luckily, we got some federal bridge money from the COVID money, and we had 150 in the bank.
Yeah.
And it was, it was slated for bridge or culvert work. And luckily, we had that money to fall back on, or we would have been, my budget would have been hit hard, or we would have come to the select board. But yeah, we definitely, we've kind of kept that money as a, oh my God, kitty.
We don't expect, that was a one-time, there was one-time bridge money, one-time highway money, and that was built into the budget, into the state budget a couple of years ago. We received that last year, and we immediately, it can only be spent on bridge or highway infrastructure projects, so it's not like it can be used for anything else. But, so we have a little bit tucked away should
Are there any
something else
deadlines
happen.
on when that money has to be used?
No, as long as it's used for that purpose.
Okay, good, so that could be,
Yeah, it's one of the good ones.
So are you advocating for another trust fund? Is it-
Well, the trust fund we're advocating for is for stormwater management.
No, I know, but I mean, it sounds like
No, we'd like to keep that.
So
Considering
this
a second.
one-time money, that we have
Oh, this is
from
just
that
a
state,
replenishment.
that can only be used for, a repair or something of that sort. The trust fund that I was speaking about earlier in the meeting.
Yeah, it's for the EPA drain
For,
coverage.
like our MS4, those are expenses that we incur every year
Right.
for the MS4 permit. You
Yeah.
can't use this money for that.
Oh, but I
Yeah,
think
no,
what you're
no,
asking
it's
is you want to
just another
replenish
fund.
that.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
trying to different,
I mean,
I get the one bucket of money, but it sounds like you were saying,
We
we
have a-
use money and we want a replenishment, or we want some kind of sustainment on a.
No, I think right now,
Safety
we have,
fund.
we have a public works trust fund
Yeah.
right now, it's a recycling fund. And, we used that when we got the grant for the last truck that we purchased, that we got, we had to use a certain 20%, we had to pay for it, and the government
We
paid for
use
80.
that,
Right.
So we use the funds out of that, and we'll replenish that. Now, that's if we, have a really bad winter and we run out of salt money, or we run
Yeah.
over on payroll for contractors. And, it basically has it's been modified so many times that it has very broad usage.
Yeah, yeah.
So something like that could possibly be used. We'd have to check the
Okay.
legalese of it, but
Yeah,
that
no,
kind of
I'm
covers
not, I'm
most.
not opposed to thinking ahead, I'm just trying to track all the buckets.
But
Yeah.
in answer to your question, yes, so if something else happened, right, and we needed to use the balance of this fund, I would definitely say we need to put more money into the Public Works Expendable Trust to have something there available should something else
Right, right,
happen,
yeah.
right? Definitely. That's another good point, though, is that we were very fortunate this year to get the Clean Fleets grant. So $300,000 truck, that was huge. We also, by the time we went out to lease, which is a truck that was in the budget,
It's part of the CIP, the replacement trucks.
Yeah, yeah.
we got a little bit of a lower rate on that, so that's coming in a little lower, and you'll see that lease payment in the 2025 budget. So we're gonna go for we're not gonna go for another truck.
We have a couple trucks that are old and high mileage that need to be replaced. Not an addition, but, a replacement. The 2015 with 111,000 miles on it, that doesn't sound so well. We're dumping money into them. But the fleet's looking good. We're in good shape mostly, and now it's
Stay on
Replenishment.
top of
we
it.
got lifetime
On schedule.
replenishment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
Anybody have any questions? Mr. Brown? Okay. Well,
Is that all we got?
anything else you have on roads or maintenance or anything?
I think for 6 years, I've been kind of, I don't know, maybe not for you guys, but I've been pushing the stormwater management. The people, Jay knows, Kim knows. It's coming, and it's coming hard, and it's costing more money every year. We have over 1,100 catch basins in town. 300 of them fall within the MS4 area that has to be cleaned every year. I did 333 catch basin cleanings, and it came out to $16,845, almost $15,000, $17,000, excuse me. and I'm budgeted 9,900 in that line. And that's just gonna get worse because the MS4 area is gonna be expanding. I think we're getting another 30% expansion in that. We have new roads like Tellerico that's going in off of Pearson. That'll add probably about 30 catch basins in the MS4 area. And then to the sweeping side, we used up our entire budget for sweeping, and we did the bare minimum what the MS4 area needs to be done. So our sweeping map is bare minimum. We didn't sweep every road in town like we usually do. Now that we have to hit it twice a year, the sweeping budget is completely inadequate. It's out of our hands. If we don't get it done, if we don't report that we get it done, I don't think there's any fines coming out yet, but it's coming down the road, and it's getting worse. Our engineering costs, I have two guys working for me, and we're out there with tablets, GPSing every catch basin outflow we have, taking and mapping every piping we have in town, and it takes an immense amount of time.
Kevin, is that a contracted thing to clean the catch basins?
Well, yes, we contracted out for a catch basin. It's $45 per catch basin for a clamshell. It's
Okay.
$165 an hour for a vac truck.
Right.
And they can't get as many done. Gets a little cleaner, but it doesn't get it done. The clamshell works. I priced out a clamshell to put on the clamshell body and crane for the new truck, and that's $199,000. I can show you the quote for a Stecco.
Well, then you have to have personnel too that has the time to operate it, so that's,
That's always something.
yeah, right.
But, you can get used machines, but then you're buying someone else's headaches. So this stuff isn't going away.
Right,
I keep trying to stress to everybody, someday I'm gonna go, can't get it done, we're gonna write the report and it's not gonna be done. And that's why we need this. I mean, if I can see the people who know, this is something that we've been through with planning and zoning. They're into it now. And it's just gonna get worse. So everybody out there watching TV, it's coming.
Certainly is.
And so we have a Southern New Hampshire Stormwater Coalition, which is all the towns and other agencies like NRPC is there, and we discuss all these things. And the meeting before the last, they actually had me come in and talk a little bit about this. We were trying to figure out if there were towns that had this equipment, could we somehow collaborate together to cut the cost? And what we found is they need their equipment and they need their personnel, and everyone is so short-staffed that there's really not much availability for other municipalities to assist, but most of them do have their own equipment, which is why Mr. Brown priced it out. That is how they get around it. It's obviously more expensive to.
When we did our impact fees for the homes, not that I want to upset the builders at the moment, but did we calculate any of that in there?
We did not look at stormwater at all, no.
Should that be something? Not that I want to,
Should
I
be.
don't want to
It's
upset
an
them.
interesting conversation because if there's a development built, right, then there's absolutely stormwater assets that are added. I don't think I never considered it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a conversation for a different day, but you could only use impact fees for capital. So it couldn't cover personnel costs, it couldn't.
Well, couldn't
Could
it?
cover the equipment though.
Sorry.
Could cover the equipment if.
But you
But
don't
it
have
could.
it now, so
You could cover
a portion.
the percentage of any equipment that isn't designed or that's intended to cover future growth.
Right,
That's
the-
gonna be the
the
tough.
top.
Yeah, not the
argument.
cost for what we already have, and we don't
Right.
have the equipment for what we already have, so.
Right.
But keep it in mind, right?
Yeah, it's a good
Especially if
thing.
you just said how much would Tellerico at? 30? More basins?
Approximately 30 catch basins. There's 20 on the road, and then I know there's a whole nother clean water,
Yeah.
which we're gonna talk about. another clean water system going through that we're not sure whose responsibility that is yet.
But also need more fire hydrants too.
More hydrants, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother.
Yes, it is.
Anybody have anything else? Well, I thank you, Mr. Brown, for coming in tonight and providing us with the information.
Anytime.
Well done. I think you're doing a tremendous job, and I know it's not an easy job, certainly with the stormwater and the MS4, but it sounds like you're on top of things, and that's good. And I think it's definitely, we definitely appreciate everything you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me again.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
All right.
Chairman Cordo, I don't know if,
Yeah,
if
go ahead.
you want, but Mr. Bork just brought up a good point
Mm-hmm.
that I know we discussed last year to a limited status, so I'll let everyone know, and you may be aware, may not. So Pennachuck Corporation filed to merge Pennachuck Core, Pennachuck East, and Pittsfield. Those are their three water companies that they currently have. And so this is in front of the PUC. It's a docket on the PUC website. We've been in conversations, the town of Bedford, the town of Londonderry, and the town of Litchfield, us, through our legal counsel, filed as interveners to that case. Pennachuck's a little different. It's a little different than a normal privately owned water company because its sole stockholder is the city of Nashua. So in order for a merger to take place, it would need to have a vote by the Board of Aldermen for the city of Nashua. We have not gotten to final proposed rates yet. We've been working through that, having all of our questions answered. We've gone through numerous reviews. We are all represented. It's something that I do expect within the next month that we will be looking at, but it will impact Litchfield water, people that are on Pennachuck water, and our hydrants. So, it's something that we're keeping a close eye on, and we expect by mid-October, we will know exactly what's being proposed. And then we'll have to take it from there, but it's an ongoing process.
Well, what's our option? Seems to me it's a take it or leave it. Here's your price. Unless we do something else. I mean, Hudson bought their way out, right? Several years ago.
Absolutely.
So is there a way to do that?
There's always a way.
Just takes money.
Just takes money.
Very forthcoming.
You know, I think,
Being very political.
you know, obviously, we've been talking with Hudson, with their town administrator, their a couple select board members and their engineer. You know, kudos to Hudson. They've been very successful with their water, and had very minimal increase to their residents over the years. But I think we need to remember there's a lot of players in the field now that weren't necessarily in that field then. So, I mean, you know, New Hampshire DES, and so there's a lot of people. If Litchfield pulled and said, we want to buy our water, we want our own municipal, we have now upset the structure that has been determined for Nashua and Wyndham and Pelham and everyone else. So there's a cost associated to that. right, to you pulling out and now causing them to have different rate structures. So it's a very tedious process. It still requires PUC approval. But it's definitely something I think you have to research everything, and we've had a number of experts doing research for us. And I think you research everything, and then you ultimately have to put it in front of the taxpayers
Right.
on what they think.
And
the
that would
best
mean then that we'd have a
interest
water
is.
department as well, and a budget for that
Right.
every year.
So you have an enterprise
So now,
fund,
and, yeah,
and enterprise funds are quite common in municipal. Everything that comes in only goes into that fund and only pays for expenses for that fund.
mhm.
But I think, coming up with and seeing where the rates come out from the merger is the first step. And we hope to know something soon, but it's an ongoing.
Since we seem to have higher rates than everyone else.
And they take
I
our
can
water.
confirm that. I have done an analysis.
And ours are the highest?
And I saw an assessment
Yeah.
a couple of years ago. I'm still trying to strain the gold out of my water.
I yeah.
I'll leave it there.
I mean, everyone knows where I live, but, mine's much different than yours.
Yes, I understand.
Well, as long as we're being proactive and,
Yeah.
Yep.
you know, if we prepare ourselves, then,
But I know, and Mr. Bork raised,
yeah.
a reminder to me that, Mr. Cutter had brought it up here last year, so I kinda wanted to let you know where we are. Not much further than we were then, fortunately.
Very good. Anything else, Kim, that you want to talk about tonight regarding the,
Did you want us to reach out to Mr. Burns from Recreation? I think the next
Yeah.
meeting currently on the calendar is September 16th, and we could ask, so Chris Burns is the chair, Peter Ames is the vice chair. Peter actually submitted the request to me, but we could invite both of them. Did you want the library again?
if they want to come, certainly, yeah, we welcome them and their input, if they have anything that they want to present. Yeah. So I don't see why not. So, yeah, we can put them on the agenda for next time. Makes sense. I know this is probably not a deal, but a done deal, but anything on the school side, Peter, did you want to talk about anything?
There's not a done deal at this point. I can tell you, we had a facilities committee meeting last night. That group will be doing a survey at the polls, hopefully in September. We have people we need to talk to about being able to do that. Kind of a survey as to why the school failed, what would people like to see going forward. We would do that September and November. And then, at some point, we have to make a recommendation to the school board itself. But most everybody that was in attendance last night, and this is not a final thing, this is just the group that was there, didn't think they would have a solution for the ballot this year, for this March. But that's certainly subject to change.
Okay.
So the next school board meeting is next Wednesday, and I'm sure it will be a topic of conversation.
My understanding is, do you have a new business administrator?
We have a new BA and a new superintendent, new curriculum director,
Okay.
so,
Special ed director,
yep.
new AD.
Yes.
AD?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
It goes on and on and on.
All right.
So lots of new faces
To new faces, certainly. Well, I mean, I just figured I'd ask. I know that,
So,
you're in ongoing discussions, and is there anything that the school has on the agenda for the 2018
There's stuff that still remains from the CIP from last year.
Last year.
There'll be conversation about, I'm sure, about the parking lot and stuff at LMS. That's not getting any better. In the fields.
In the field. Do you know when they might want to come in and
At this point, I would say the earliest would probably be October. Again, we have a new BA, so we won't not be as adept as we were last year with Doug.
With Doug,
Just because he was
Right.
a rock star and very familiar with him. He was his second or third year here, so he was.
So you're just gonna do tentative for October for the school?
We'll bring it again, we'll discuss it on next Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate that. Jay, do you have anything that you want to just touch upon for projects or anything from an RPC
Not
standpoint?
that I can think of.
You good? Okay. Anything, other business, anything being submitted this evening? Okay. I guess I'll open it up now to public input again. Any members of the public?
I'll wait till you close it.
What's that?
I'll wait till you close it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, any members of the public that wish to comment this evening, and seeing that there's nobody in the room, I will close public input, so, and we'll go back.
Well,
Yes.
someone alluded to our next meeting as far as the date. I know it's tentatively the 16th, so we're gonna have a discussion about the date.
Right.
Yeah, so I
On my
think we should
calendar.
confirm
Yeah,
if
I don't know.
everyone is
Yeah.
able to make that meeting. And we apologize for Monday's meeting, although the budget committees needs the budget and the selectmen has to be presented to the selectmen first, so. That's why Monday got bumped.
What day is the 16th?
It's a Monday.
It's
Yeah.
a Monday, and it's scheduled for the fire station.
Is everybody, would everybody be available
That works for me.
that day?
Works for me.
I'm
Okay.
available.
Benefit of scheduling it in advance.
All right, then it looks like it'll be the 15th of September, 6:30. And do we know if it'll be here in Town Hall? or
At the fire station.
At the fire station, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. The only other thing that I would mention is that the Economic Development Committee has a focus group session on September 12th. The information's on our website if people want to sign up for that. It's at Campbell High School. So we're trying to get the word out as much as we can.
And the due date for enrollment is what, 26th?
August 26th.
In terms of, if you wanted to do, call site walk of the police station on the 15th, if you wanted to do early, would anybody be available early to just do that quick walkthrough?
16th, you
I
mean?
think it's
wanted
the
to do that?
16th, isn't it?
Yeah, 16th.
Yeah.
September 16th before our
What
meeting.
time do they need?
Yeah.
Half
Six.
hour?
Half an hour,
I would say half an hour.
so make
Yeah.
it 6. Can people make it at 6?
Why
Is
not?
that a problem for anybody?
Not for me.
Okay. So maybe we can ask, or maybe we can ask the chief if we can do that before our meeting on
6
16th.
PM on the 16th.
So we'll do that. Okay. Anybody have anything else this evening? So I guess for our next meeting, we'll have discussion with rec, a discussion with the library, and we'll have them in to their projects.
Okay.
If nobody has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I have a motion by Peter. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Peter. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, abstain. Motion passes. 5-0-0. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening, and we'll see you on the 16th of September. Have a good night.
I was waiting for my turn. You got it.